The Fed's latest rate hike is a concern for South Korea's economy, putting more pressure on the Bank of Korea to raise its own rates to avoid a currency outflow. The BOK's next meeting on interest rates comes at the end of this month, but a number of factors complicate the situation. Shin Ha-young reports.
The Fed's latest rate hike creates greater economic uncertainty for South Korea. This is according to Seoul's Finance Ministry based on findings from Thursday's emergency economic meeting chaired by Finance Minister Choo Kyung-ho. The Fed's aggressive monetary tightening has widened the gap in interest rates between South Korea and the U.S. to 1 percentage point for the first time in more than 3 years. The Bank of Korea is now under growing pressure to act decisively. The Fed's decision will require the BOK to raise its own rates to avoid currency outflows. Narrowing the gap is important because it's contributed to the dramatic weakening of the Korean won, which raises the cost of imports and adds to inflation.
$1 exchange rate would also be an interesting thing to look for in the coming days and weeks, not least because the Korean bond market, especially, is far from stable at the moment.
Experts say the calculation for the BOK is complex and involves a number of variables.
They need to note the Federal Reserve's rate hikes, but they're probably not in a position to hike rates at the same pace as the Federal Reserve is doing. And so I think this is actually a difficult time for Korean companies. The Korean bond market has been pretty volatile, and inflation and unemployment, of course, are also concerning.
If the BOK decides to take another so-called big step by raising its benchmark interest rates by 50 basis points, the government, companies, and households face the burden of bigger debt payments. The BOK will meet to decide on rates on November 24th. Meanwhile, during Thursday's emergency economic meeting, officials discussed the Fed's move and reviewed the condition of local financial markets. In response, the Finance Ministry said it's going to step up its vigilance and take action if necessary. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.